Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my channel. I am Meridian Gaming. Got something a little bit different today because I've been a busy boy. So you've probably noticed this is not Planet Zoo, this is in fact Prehistoric Kingdom. Feeling a little burnt out with Planet Zoo, wasn't feeling too inspired to build habitat, and subsequently I felt my builds were starting to lack and not be as good as they could be, let's be honest. So I jumped into a different game, something a little bit different. So I thought, oh, I know, let's make a dinosaur park, why not? So rather than jumping into Jurassic World Evolution 2 or anything like that, I went, nah, let's go into Prehistoric Kingdom, a bit different, a bit more scientifically accurate as far as we're aware, with some artistic license with some of the dinosaurs, it has to be said, but figured we'd go with that. So this is actually a finished park. It's taken me about 6 or so months to build in terms of calendar days, in terms of actual game time, about 101 hours, but it's a full park, and I figured it's done, why not do a little tour? So here we are. So we come out of the guest spawners here and through our guest entrance. I figured there's some sort of subway or underground tube system, something like that, because this park is actually designed to be on Ascension Island, which is in the middle of the Atlantic, a bit tropical, and it is a British overseas territory, it has to be said, but it's in the middle of the Atlantic, so in theory, if anything did escape the pup from its paddock or anything like that, it ain't getting far. It's in the middle of the Atlantic, things are going to be okay. There's no real risk of a Jurassic Park actually happening. So we come around here and then you come into the entrance plaza. You can see we've got a nice big old statue of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, water feature just over here, and our big old sign, welcome to Ascension Park. Now this building is based off of the why is there a guy stood on the roof? Anyway, so yeah, this entrance building is based off of the Aalborg Zoo entrance in Denmark. Some artistic license taken, because within Aalborg Zoo, the design concept part of it, this was actually a window. I figured that wouldn't fit quite as well into the aesthetic I was going for, so we've gone for a water feature because it's a bit nice. It adds a bit of makes it a bit more dynamic, makes it a bit more alive. In there we've got our guest services, we've got a restaurant up there, we've also got a gift shop just over there, which we'll get to in a second. So if we scooch on down here, we'll just speed up a little bit. We come to our entrance gates, which are manned, but that's not a me thing, that's just a Prehistoric Kingdom thing. And we can see all the guests are glitched out because they're all wearing blue, so obviously it's blue shirt day. So the zoo is broken up into 3 zones. You can see the 3 gates just here. We've got a Pre-Cretaceous zone, a Cretaceous zone, and a Post-Cretaceous zone. No prize for guessing how that works out. What goes where. So we come up here, we've got a little minor staircase. We do also have ramps for wheelchair access. Nothing really down here, apart from we've got entrance to our staff area, which I can just take you down to. I was umming and ahhing about putting some like golf carts or some sort of form of vehicles thing, in the concept of the zoo being a dinosaur park is going to be quite large. You're not going to be able to walk around it all in a day. It's going to take you a while, and if you did walk around it, it's going to be bloody knackering. So I was going to put some jeeps or stuff down here, which you could pay to have someone take you around the park, or for a little bit more you could have a golf cart and you take yourself around, something like that. Never really got round to it. Also, I couldn't figure how I would build. Saw a couple on the Steam workshop for prefabs. none really that look suitable for guest viewing, so that never happened. But we can come around here. I've left the gate open so staff can get in or out, but come in here and then you've got all the staff facilities. Wrong way. So these are in-game pieces here and here. Excuse me. More in-game pieces. These I took off the workshop. I cannot remember who built them. Figured, as again, the park being so big, the keepers would also have something to, you know, get around the park a bit quicker. Hence, rules at the back and everything like that. Kept it, trying to keep it as best I can in the park colours. But you can see all our food, a couple of helicopters off the workshop. Our nursery building. This did also come off the workshop. But this was just there if I needed to rehouse anything quickly and move it or something like that. Little pen here for once they come out because I figured, yes, they don't actually come out the hatchery, out the nursery, whatever you want to call it, but if they're, let's face it, they'd be opening that door, dinosaur walks out, it needs somewhere to go, hence this bit here. We would then tranquilize it or something like that, and then by helicopter, example there, probably not going to be able to lift it in real life, probably more so like a Chinook, would then hitch it up, take it to its pen, goes where it needs to go. Oh, but that's our a couple of energy plants and things like that, all our food production, storage, and X, Y, and Z. But we come here, we've got our gift shop, nothing really major here, there's not much you can do really, so it's a bit barren in here. But it gets the feel across, it's a gift shop, it does what it needs to do. Glitching through the ceiling, pardon me. And that's the gift shop. And we also come over here, which would be like our guest services. This is where you'd be able to rent push chairs, prams, the tour vehicles, and you can go in here. Plenty of seating. Got some vending machines down the back just to encourage more people to go in. Got some toilets down the back, and we come up here, just cut through the floor. We then have a little food court area, because let's face it, if you come here, you've probably had a bit of a trek. You're going to be a bit of Hank Marvin. You're going to want some grub. I can't words today. So anyway, we go back down. I'm making a right pig's ear of this, I do apologise. Anyway, let's get on with the tour. So we carry on round. We'll just go up the accessibility route. And as I say, we've got our three zones. Pre-Cretaceous, Cretaceous and Post-Cretaceous. We're going to go first of all to Pre-Cretaceous because we're going to go in historical order. So we come through the gate there with our entrance markings on the floor telling you where you go. No, I really ought to put something up there, but I'll be honest, it was at the start of when I first started building it. I wasn't too attuned with getting things lined up properly or anything like that, so here it never really happened across the top of the arch, but it does what it needs to do. So we come in here, and first things first, you can see we've got a habitat building just here, which contains our Elophysis, which is one of the few triassic animals in the park, which is an insectivore. Autosave. And this was actually the first habitat I built in the park. Probably by the amount of Z fighting that's going on. Really pleased with how this turned out. Looks fairly realistic. Our sea devices as well, looking absolutely brilliant. And people using our viewing bits, which is ideal because for the reason with null barriers, the guests don't really seem to stand and have a look into habitats and stuff. So that's come into play a bit throughout the park. I mean, at the end of the day, game's in early access. It's one of those things. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But that's our Coelophysis habitat, which, as I say, really pleased with. Really great, pleased with how the net result. that bit at the back they can actually get up on top of. If you look at the back, you can see there's a ramp just there, allows them to get up on top, makes it a bit more three-dimensional of a habitat, I find, because I appreciate it is a bit flat in there. Gift donation box, we've got plenty of them around throughout the zoo, and just opposite those, however, we have got our Archaeopteryx, which is one of the two aviary animal dinosaurs in the game. Work a bit like the bats and stuff in Planet Zoo in terms of they do fly, but they're on a fixed track, which I've personally got no complaints over. It could be better, but at the end of the day, I accept one part of the limitations of the game. It flies. It flies. That's the main thing. So we've got some glass viewing down there, so people could take pictures. I think a bit unfortunate if the sun's directly behind you, because it is going to get glare off the glass. But then there's some mesh at the top for ventilation for our Archaeopteryx. Also, there's a roof at the back, which gives them some shade if they needed to. In theory, I should have put some pole beams across the top there, because then they would have something to perch on if they did want to get out of the sun. But at early build, we'll just pretend that they're there, and yeah, we'll move on to our Plateosaurus, which is the other Triassic dinosaur in this park, and the only other one in the game. There are a couple variants of the Plateosaurus, if I am aware, but this is the one I've gone for, which was the Prehistoric, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Very small, not small, very standard habitat. You'll notice throughout the park there is actually no grass in the habitats. This is primarily due to the fact grass, for the most part, hadn't evolved around the time of dinosaurs. I believe grass evolved around 55 million years ago. Dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago. You can see why there's no grass in there. So as I say, rather simple habitat, rather plain, but it gets the point across well, I find. Now, nation box, move along there. Got another way down to our staff facility, which this one is blocked off, so guests can't get in. In all fairness, the guests don't actually go down there purely because there's no dinosaurs in there. There's nothing that attracts the guests to them, because the guests in this are a bit like a moth to a flame. Got a toilet block just there, which good to see people are queuing up for. And then you come to one of the main stars of the park, the Brachiosaurus paddock. Now, the Brachiosaurus is one of the 4 5-star animals in this park. Get to the other ones later on. As you can tell, pretty large habitat, but there you go, where we've got actual barriers, not just the null ones, so you can have the guests actually standing and looking into the habitat. Yes, we've got the binoculars there, but you also get the members of the public looking in as well. Nothing else down here really, just got some benches and that for seating. Another education sign. But the concept is, you come down here and you see this building just here. The theory being, where this is a 5-star animal in the game, I've built this building just here, which, yes, it's got a little restaurant downstairs, it's got a gift shop upstairs, which would be selling t-shirts and stuff like that, all Brachiosaurus themed, as it's a 5-star animal in the park. So you have like your typical I saw the Brachiosaurus at Ascension Park type products. We'll look in this habitat just here in a second. So we can come in here. I really need to pull that fence up. Come here, somewhat of a custom lighting plan. Food court in here, plenty of seating for the guests. And then up here, got some vending machines, got the gift shops, and do that. Yes, it's a mix of stuff. Oh, bear with me, it is starting to rain. Let's stop that from happening, because it rains in this game, and it is rather annoying. So yeah, got a gift shop there. Yes, it has all a mix of stuff and everything. We're just in our heads, it's all Brachiosaurus themed. But there you go. There's another view into our Brachiosaurs. Now you'll see they've got the barn just there. There's no door in it, but that was, again, wasn't too sure how to build a door for this habitat. You'll notice we've also got hydraulics for the skylights, meaning it could air out if needed. There are, I believe, 5 Brachiosaurs in this habitat. You can see 4 of them just there. I'm not sure where the 5th one's gone. But yeah, I'd say we've got 5 of them in there. And then we can come across and you can see our Torosaurus paddock, which was a apex predator of Jurassic period, which, as I'm sure most of you will be aware, came after the Triassic. Excuse me, just having a sip of my drink. You've also got some viewing with these binocular bits into the paddock there, so you can see over the guests gives you a bit of a better view. I am far too high up. So yeah, we've got 3 Torosaurus in here. Went with different skins. I can't remember what the demographics are. I can't remember if it's one male, 2 females, or 2 females, 1 male. But we've got 3 of them. So carry on round, and then you come to a bit of a fork in the road. Now what I'm going to do is we are going to take a left turn just here, where you can see our Brontosaurus paddock. I'm going to explain why we're going left in a second. Got plenty of seating, because as I say, with the park being the size that it is, put a barrier around the park, and I believe I can't remember what it was in square meters. It was like 845,700 and something square meters. I can't remember what that is, which over 1 million square yards, but basically it's 211 acres big, so pretty big park. You're going to need plenty of opportunities to sit down. So as I say, we've got our Brontosaurus paddock in here, which is rather large, since it is a large animal. Brontosaurus, bit of a fairly recent discovery. Previously, an animal was called dinosaur previously was called a Brontosaurus. Got determined it wasn't actually the same species and was later scrapped. Then found, which was the skull of Patasaurus next to something else, but I can't remember what it was found beside. But anyway, they found a different species, and it got subsequently named Brontosaurus. Hence, we have the concept of a Brontosaurus nowadays, based on modern science. This habitat does have 360-degree viewing. You can view it all the way up. In fact, you can see some guests slightly at the other end of the paddock. Come down here, just have viewing either side, and into this habitat just here, which is, and this is about one of the few dinosaurs I can't pronounce the name of in the park, is the Celidosaurus. That's how it is. Yeah, Celidosaurus, which is one of the few European dinosaurs in the park. A bit of a marshland, quite a few veins on the skin, and also one of the few dinosaurs that was discovered in the United Kingdom, which is, as you can probably guess, where I'm from. Nice little swampy, marshy habitat. I've tried to keep them in everything its own little biome, and yeah, it just goes from there. Gives you a look into how these creatures potentially would have lived in real life, based on our understanding of and in question. You see a shelter for them in the back, and we move along round. Another toilet block, another donation box, which I didn't notice until now. It's slightly floating, but we'll just pretend there's a little bit underneath that. And now we come across our Dryosaurus. We've got quite a large herd of them in here. And you'll note all the paddocks in this park are double fenced, just for a bit more security. Not just our animals, but our guests as well. Well, should be aware, not just our guests but also for our animals, because we don't want people putting their grubby mitts through the fences, distressing our dinos, or getting their fingers bitten, or worse. You see, you got our little herd there. Got a climbing structure which also was taken off the workshop. Most of the builds in this park, if it's off the workshop, I will say it's off the workshop. You can see one trying to drown itself just there, but we can move along round through here, just past the shelter for Brontosaurus, which in all honesty, I feel it's too big, but apparently it's the right size. Still, we move floating tree roots. We'll just pretend they aren't there. Not really much to report on. You've already seen this paddock. Now we come to another fork in the road. We can go straight on or carry on round. I'm going to carry on round this way because this will bring us to the last animal in the park, called the Pre-Triassic zone, which now I don't know how many of you will have seen Jurassic Park, but you know the little dinosaur with the frills takes out Dennis which kills Dennis Nedry. These are your boys just here, obviously based on real science. Jurassic Park, not the most exact scientifically accurate film. In fact, it is pretty much laid out in the film and in the novel. These are crossbreeds with other stuff because they've had to alter the DNA to fill it with frog DNA, birds, the chickens, stuff like that. So they are technically genetic hybrids, and also it's expressed in the book, especially, well, definitely in the book. I can't remember so much the film. These are animals how people would want them to be, not how potentially they would have actually lived. This park is how based on our current understanding, how they would have lived. So the Dilophosaurus, somewhat different. Again, we've got 3 of them in here, and you can see one's there, quite a bit bigger than what you would have seen in Jurassic Park. And rather than having frills, we've got the 2 frills on top of its skull, which is Dilophosaurus earned its name. There's another one of our them just there. There is 3 of them in the park. The other one may be in its shelter. But anyway, so it's our Pre-Cretaceous zone, and we can carry on down to here where we've got this part just here where there is basically no seating, but that will be explained later. Because this takes you into the Cretaceous zone. So I'm not going to go into the Cretaceous zone just here. We're going to have a brief cut. I'll take you back to the main archways into each zone, and I'll join you from there. So see you in a couple of, well, a few seconds for me. It'll be pretty much instant for you. So here we are at the gateway to the Cretaceous zone. As I say, very brief cut. So we can head on in here. As it stats. So first thing first, you get this big paddock straight in front of you, slightly to the left, which is for our Dinochirus. This viewing station was built by myself. Got a lift there for wheelchair access. This barn here and the fence was off the workshop, but you can see our 2 Dinochirus in here. Obviously featured in the show Prehistoric Planet, and most of the dinosaurs, if they have featured in Prehistoric Planet, I've tried to find the skin which most closely resembled how they looked in that show. but very pleased with how this turned out. This is one of the first paddocks I built in this park, I believe. This was the first one in the Cretaceous zone that I built. Not all the park zones were built in order. It's a bit of a hodgepodge in terms of actually building it. So you flip between zones building, and then came to the conclusion, I'll just focus on the Pre-Cretaceous zone. I then did the Post-Cretaceous, because obviously the Cretaceous, that's where stuff gets really, really big, and it's going to obviously need more space. So I figured to get those two zones done first, then the rest of the space I've got to work with based off of the can all be devoted to Cretaceous, because then I've got plenty of space to work with. So as I say, that's our viewing here. You can come up here. Oh, bit of a photo clicking through, just pretend we didn't see that. And you can see the into the paddock just here, which I feel gives a very cool view in. You can see into the barn somewhat, which yeah, probably a bit oversized for our dinosaurs. It is what it is. I've just noticed there's some grass there, but again, we'll pretend we didn't see that. So carry on back round, and you'll see we've got an aviary just here. This is for our other aviary-based animal in the park, which is the Microraptor. And you can see this is definitely a later build. Tried experimenting with shapes a bit more, and yeah, it gives us a more dynamic shape. We've got plenty of viewing in here, and you can see one of our Microraptors just here. Plenty of them in there. I believe there's 30 in here, but really pleased with how this turned out. In theory, this would all be the feeding station, you know, preparing food and stuff like that. But it does the job what it needs to do. And we come down here, you have a staff access in here that could be fenced off. I'm not sure if that is, and the same for this. Unfortunately, we have these past guests do use rather annoyingly. Is there not a... okay, I know why it's not via that set. I will come to that in a second. Ooh. Ah! Where am I? There we go. So yeah, you can see more of our fence just here. Very heavy duty, because obviously Dinocaris means terrible hands. Because they do have some pretty big claws. I mean, it is up on a hill, but we don't want to be taking any risks. So we carry on down to here. That needs to be fenced off a bit more. Come up here with our very shallow ramp, where we come to viewing for our Ankylosaurus habitat. There we go. You can see one just here. Now there are a pair in here, male and a female. This originally was for Iguanodon. However, the Iguanodon got moved because they're just too big for the habitat. It looks awful. Fortunately, Ankylosaurus fulfills the same, fitted into the same biome. So at the end of the day, just swapped out, took the Iguanodons out, went into that paddock in the staff area briefly, where until they got moved to their new paddock. So if we head on back down here, we come to another toilet block, but then you can see we've got our Velociraptor habitat, very famous Jurassic Park. However, the Velociraptor is in probably based off of potentially Utah Raptor, and the Velociraptor is somewhat different. As you can see, also feathered, as opposed to the ones in Jurassic Park, which are scaly. Their little chirping and everything, very, very pleased with that. Move across here. We come to our Leoninosaura, which is one of the newer builds. Builds are also one of the newer animals in the park game. You can tell, even though it's quite densely foliaged for the size of the habitat, you can quite clearly see where they are due to those impressive tails and tail feathers, what they have. Move on round, and this is our iguanodon habitat. Now there's two ways up here. We've got a staircase. We also have ramps for wheelchair access. Probably a bit too steep for wheelchair users, but it gets the illusion across. So come up here a bit more. Ooh. And there we go, got the viewing just here. No real hard shelter from, well, actually they do have a hard shelter and it's directly underneath, but you can see into our paddock just here. Really did surprise me actually with how big of the paddock needed to be for these guys, with the amount of space requirements, considering there are not in here. In fact, I think that is our entire herd you can see on camera right now. Obviously the iguanodon made popular by the movie Dinosaur, which I have seen but not for years. Not the best film in the world, but if you've got small kids, hey, give it, show it to them, they might like it. It's a U certificate, you can't, or an E certificate, so pretty age appropriate. It's a Disney film, it's going to be right for kids, let's face it. So just head up, take a shortcut, there we go. So obviously this path goes no further that way, so we can head back up the way we came. Past our Leoninosaura and our Velociraptors. Past the toilet block, and here we have our Carcharodontosaurus, and also our entrance into the Post-Cretaceous zone, which we will come to in a second. We're not going to show you that just now. There you go, there's one of our big tanky boys, our Carcharodontosaurus. In fact, they are both in the shelter, which is about right for a zoo, because let's face it, you never see everything, because there is probably something in its shelter. Although if I come down here, we can look in. So yeah, I think this is about as good as we're going to get at the minute, because they are both in the let's say in the shelter. Sounds like they're about to have a ruck, but they can't fight in this because that's not programmed in the game. Oh, one of them's going to come out. Now, is it going to come down here? Obviously, Carcharodontosaurus named for its teeth, as they are teeth similar to a shark's. There you go. Gives you an idea of the size of these bad boys. Obviously, steel wire. In theory, these would be electrified, keeping it safer for our guests. And then we come down to here, staff again. And this is one thing that is unfortunate with this park, because there are no staff paths in the game. You will get it where the guests use these paths, which are dotted around, which are meant to be staff. Hence, you'll notice all the paths are made from this sort of, substrate path, leaves and everything, because I figured they're not going to absorb heat so much. So the staff paths are made of asphalt, wrench shapes, so they then, can go where they need to go. However, the guests will use these as shortcuts. You can also come down here, which will take you past our Pisatosaurus, which a few dinosaurs we know have an idea of how it would have looked. with it being counter shaded, meaning it had a lighter underside to a darker top half, which would have broken up its silhouette for predators, making it harder to see. We can then move across where we've got our Lesotho Ceratops paddock, and you can see just there, obviously a Ceratopsian, relative of the famous Triceratops. We then can come to got again split path. This path actually does take you all the way around in a big old circle. That is the other side of that start path we put in earlier, but we'll come to that in a second because we've got one big build attack just around here. So here we've got in this paddock our Parasaurolophus. You see a couple there. Again, there's multiple species of. There's two Parasaurolophus species in the game. This one is the Walkeri. Not really sure of how to say it, to be quite honest. We'll go with Walkeri. There you go, you can see some of them through here. These ones being females, and the size of that head crest, I'd assume that is a male just there. Carry on round. One of our staff cut-throughs, and here we've got the Lambeosaurus in its wetland habitat. Really happy again with how this turned out. And obviously these have been built after the rustic came out. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best themes in the game. It keeps it looking natural with it being wood, and also doesn't draw attention too much, meaning we can focus on the dinos. Then it's as far as part of it as we'll get here in the Cretaceous zone, because as you can see here, this then takes you back into our Pre-Cretaceous area, which should take you out by where the Dilophosaurus is. So if we head back down here, I'm now going to take you left, and you'll see what's in this big habitat round here. So if we carry on round here, you'll see the sign just here. You probably see what it is. We've got one of the other 5-star animals in the zoo, in the park, in our play park, the Triceratops. And these guys need a massive habitat. You can see one there, you can see another one just there, and there's one sleeping in its barn just there, which in fact is our male. So this habitat is absolutely massive. You can just see how, like, from me panning around how big this habitat in fact is. And I'm going to take you all the way around. And because we get to do some interesting stuff later on in the park going this way, and I want to save that, keep it special for you. But we can, as I say, just pan round. You can see one just there behind the screen, and there we go, there it is, there she is, rather. Again, all double fenced, keeping it nice and secure. Carry on round. We're nearly at where I want us to be. There you go, there's two of them there. Got a nice big lake for them to wallow and chill out in. Just go around here, and we'll be in a second going under a viewing platform, which is just here, which cuts up over the path, and above that water feature, you, well, I'd call this a decent view into the paddock. Sorry, there's no Tedric cam in this, so it's trying to control it and keep it somewhat level. But then there you go. So that's that. You have a block. We've also, with it being a 5-star animal, got another like little food, like a little food hall slash gift shop. Gift shop being on the bottom. This one actually did forget to put, as with a lot of them, I did forget to put wheelchair access in, which is my bad. And come up here, got a little food hall, vending machines, food hall bits there. Come out onto a deck where you can again view into the Triceratops paddock. Also gives you a view into the habitat just here, which we're going to get to in a second, and somewhat of a view into our Carcharodontosaurus. In fact, there you go, there's one coming up right up to the fence just now, and obviously is a bit pissy with the guests having a gore at it. But we jump on down and come to the habitat just here. We've got our Styracosaurus. In fact, you can see one just there and another one just there. In fact, that's our big male and a couple of females. I can't remember the size of the herd. It's been a while since I did build this habitat, but again, really pleased with how this has turned out. Using that steel cable fence, which, let's face it, as a fence would be really quite sturdy. No real chances of the dinosaurs, such as the Carcharodontosaurus, being able to climb out of it, because dinosaurs, the ability to rotate a wrist hadn't evolved. I can't remember what it's called. There is an actual word for it. The actual ability to rotate your wrists so that your hands, rather than facing down, face in, or vice versa, hadn't evolved yet. Dinosaurs, their claws always would face inwards, like facing each other. So effectively, if you're thinking of a clapping motion, that's the direction their palms would face in. So there's no chance of them actually being able to climb out. So head on back towards the Triceratops habitat. Obviously we've looked in there. Carry on around. Back past the toilet block. And under the walkway just here, we come across our other ceratopsian habitat, which is the Protoceratops. Obviously very famous of a ceratopsian due to the fossil of the dueling dinosaurs, which is a Protoceratops and a Velociraptor caught in a fight, giving us an idea of the behaviour of these animals, where they unfortunately would have both perished. We're not overly sure to whether it is a volcanic slide or a mudslide. We're not sure, but preserved a moment in history which we are very fortunate to know about. In a way, it also reminds me of a dog with how it's scratched, where it's almost like it's taking a dump and it's spreading its scent around. Probably isn't that, it's probably just frozen in place. We will move on. Not going to take you down to that part of the zoo just yet. We're going to save that till last. Carry on around and take you to our habitat just here, which is our Pachyrhinosaurus, which, if you would have seen Prehistoric Planet, featured in that, in a more Arctic habitat. Here see, we're at Ascension Island, it's not really going to get a tropical habitat. Arguably could have built a dome, but in theory a dome would have cost too much for the zoo to build. I mean, I've put it in sandbox. Obviously I've got limited money, but can't keep it realistic to some degree, so the zoo's not splurged on a massive dome to keep them in, but they seem to be thriving in the habitat, so it is all good. Back down there you have our Parasaurolophus, And we can head down here, cut down walkway. In say nice lovely paddock for our Pachyrhinosaurus. Oh, bear with me 2 seconds. There we go. Ooh. That sorted. So we carry on down here past the Pachyrhinosaurus. Ignore the people using our staff paths, and we come to the Muttaburrasaurus. Again, shelter built using the rustic theme. Muttaburrasaurus obviously discovered in Australia, hence the name, because I believe it's something to do with Muttaburra. I can't remember what it is, whether it's the name of an area in Australia or a park or something, but discovered in Australia. Got quite a sizable herd in here. In fact, I believe there's even a leucistic one in here. Carry on down, and you can see we've got another habitat just here, which is a rather large one, where we have our Edmontosaurus, and these are Edmontosaurus regalis or regalis. This is a rather sizable herd. I believe there's about 15 in here, maybe 17. But yeah, rather large herd, all in the wetlands biome. Personally, I think the fence is a bit too weak. However, the game said it was a 2.5 meter on medium security, so I've gone with that. Makes it look rather nice, especially when you have the fence just here. Keeps it somewhat thematic and fitting in. I arguably could have put the steel cable fence in, which probably in hindsight would have looked better, but hindsight 2020, I don't like going back to habitats too much and redoing them, so we're sticking with that. Got some more walkway and stuff down there, but we're going to go down here and cut across. So here we come to the Tyrannosaurus habitat. Got some redwoods grown here. This is in the year, I think in game like 2478 or something like that. It's in the 2400s, so obviously if we had planted redwoods, they'd had time to have grown this tall. This series has been being built for a good period of time. So again, wetlands theme. Really happy with how this turned out. Not too different in terms of size. Again, actually this one wasn't built using the rustic theme. This was built using the modern theme. That had shelter. Still fits in quite well, I personally believe. So we can carry on around here where we come to a tree of carnivores. We have here the Acrocanthosaurus just here. 3 of them here, 2 males, 1 female. Nice beach themed habitat just here. Well, maybe not beach themed, but coastal themed habitat just here. This would be sort of on an archipelago in my mind. Lovely big habitat here. We'll come to this habitat just here in a minute, because we're going to take you down to that one just over there. There we go, and round here. Plenty of seating and stuff like that. Got a lovely viewing area just here, but we're going to go down here. A few more of our Acrocanthosaurus. I didn't realise I put that many in here. I've forgotten that. Oh well, plenty to see. And also plenty of feeders dotted round as well for our animals, and you'll have noticed plenty of dung beetle mounds to help clean up their poop. Here we come to the second of our trio of carnivores, the Tarbosaurus, a relative of the famous Tyrannosaurus rex. this one themed as a more deserty sort of habitat. Small oasis just in here, but I know for a fact there are 3 Tarbosaurus in here. You see one just there, you see another just here. I can't see the third, it's probably in the shelter. But that's the joy of having these animals in a park. Yes, you have a habitat paddock. Oh, there we go, there's the third, just there. You have the paddock, which is rather somewhat sizable, but where these animals being the size that they were, which sadly would have probably been the undoing of them, especially in the Cretaceous, because obviously we know about the meteor strike, which was somewhat part of the extinction of the dinosaurs. The size, which is what made them so unique, ends up being the downfall, because the amount of oxygen they would have needed, they weren't able to get from the atmosphere due to the cloud of dust and brimstone and everything like that, which would have been in the atmosphere. They just simply wouldn't have been able to survive and would have simply just suffocated. Maybe not on the first day, but definitely in the years, days and months and potentially years to come, especially for the smaller ones. Meaning smaller animals like the early mammals were able to ascend into being the predominant species on the planet and still rule the planet to this day. So we carry on down here, we come, you can see we've got a bit just here, because this takes you in our final, well, the penultimate, animal for the park in the Cretaceous zone, made very famous by Jurassic Park 3, is the Spinosaurus. Now this in theory is reinforced glass, so you wouldn't be able to get too close, but we can see into the habitat just here. In fact, you can see both our Spinosaurus there, in fact. See how dung beetles doing their job just there. And yeah, just lovely view of a feeding station, which is why I've got this station being here. So in theory, where it's kept so close, we've got that. My thought is these animals aren't going to have a brain capacity like what a human does. It's going to see food there, it's going to be more focused on the food, ignore the people inside. In theory, this would be two-way glass. Meaning it would just see these pile of logs, go, it's a pile of logs, don't worry about it. So we've got a viewing down there into the, so it goes up of them eating. Again, food station, which I've only just realised all are the same. We've got a restaurant in there. Come up here, again this is a 5-star animal, hence we've got a gift shop and everything like that. Not the biggest, apparently these are inaccessible to the patrons, which I think is absolutely dumb, but it is what it is. And some upper deck viewing, and I believe this is above the height the Spinosaurus is able to get to. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, I did test it out, I'm pretty sure that it is, so I can't see myself building it if it was within reach of them. So head on back down, and then we come to, as I say, this viewing gallery just here, which is all custom made, inspired by one I did find off the workshop but didn't end up using. We come to our viewing gallery, which gives you a view over the pond that they've got. Well, I say pond, it's more of a lake for our Spinosaurus. Got little down here to keep them away from the windows. But again, this I'm really pleased to have turned out. Looks fairly realistic in my mind. Got the lattice there, which should help with ventilation, also light coming in. Very well supported team, as you can see here. Fence to keep you away from the windows to stop people tapping on the glass and things like that. And just giving unparalleled views really into the Spinosaur paddock. As you can see there, we have got another viewing gallery, which I will take you to now. So we can come down here, concrete wall, not getting through that anytime soon. And 2 tiers viewing just here. Another feeding station just there. Then if we move up, even better view across the paddock, but also far enough away. Yes, you can see the gift shop and everything there, but you're not close enough. It's really going to be seeing other people, which I think is a massive thing in a zoo. I want to see the actual animal. I don't want to see the other people in the nicest way possible. But I just find it breaks immersion if you are looking at the habitat and you can see other people looking it over from the other side of the paddock. Yes, obviously you've got these viewing stations here which would turn, and if you turned you'd be able to see people on the other paddock side. I can accept, because obviously you're using binoculars. You're going to be able to see further away. That's the point of binoculars. But anyway, we come back down. Down we go. Back to our Pachyrhinosaur habitat, because now we come to the pièce de résistance in our Cretaceous zone. We come down here, we come to maybe the most famous dinosaur of all time, with the most unique with the most unique view into the park, because we, rather than using actual fence, we've used a trench. We have a duo of Tyrannosaurus, and you can just about see one of our pair just there. But the feeding station by our guest viewing, because again, 5-star animal, the only other 5-star animal in the park. We've got a guest viewing, gift shop, restaurant type thing. Again, all these restaurants be themed around the concept of I saw insert dinosaur here at Ascension Park. In fact, this trench is about 4 meters wide, so plenty of space between you and the Tyrannosaurus. Also, it's about a 6-meter drop. Ain't nothing getting across that in a hurry. So you can see one just down there. Carry on round here to the restaurant and gift shop. So down here we have the restaurant at the food area. This is in fact, this is the last build I did for the park to complete it, and there is also a speed build of this and how I did it. Got some gift shops here, which again it's saying this customers cannot access, but I'm sorry, how they cannot access this is a mystery to me. And we come to our viewing out here, and there you go, there's one of our T-Rexes just here. Lovely dense forest, shelter in the back. I think the other one's down here. Yeah, there we go, there's our other Rexy. So that completes the Cretaceous zone. Yeah, rather standard fare for a paleo park. Really happy with how it's turned out, and like, as I say, to top it off, Tyrannosaurus Rex, chef's kiss. So again, there we are going to have another cut, and we will join you at the entrance to the Post-Cretaceous zone. Again, instantaneous view, few moments for me. I'll see you then. So here we are at the entrance to the Post-Cretaceous zone. Obviously this is now going to be things Stone Age. You may have obviously seen a brief hint of what we're going to have in here due to our escapee, which is now safely back in its habitat. Fortunately they haven't introduced predation into the game, so the animals fortunately aren't going after our guests, because otherwise that could have been a rather somewhat gory and shall we say visceral experience for our guests. But if we move on in, we can see we've got viewing just in here, which hasn't got a door, but guests don't go through the doors unfortunately, because they actually pick up on walls and things like that and don't walk through them like what they do in Planet Zoo. So if we come into here, this is one of the viewing areas. We have our Smilodons, also known as the saber-toothed tiger. We can see one just over there, and just, or is that a person? No, that's a person. You can also see these steps going up here and up here, and that is because I, as an experiment, introduced an animal walkover, meaning we have Smilodon viewing here and Smilodon viewing just here, which is arguably the larger part of their paddocks. So fortunately with the Post-Cretaceous zone, we get into like mammals and things like that, so you can somewhat go, well hang on, a Smilodon, that's a big cat, what sort of habitats would I be building for, say, a tiger, a jaguar, a lion, stuff like that. So we can cut through under our viewing there. You can see all steel beams keeping everything nice and secure. More viewing into the Smilodons just here. There you go. Got quite lucky with that. View there, just one walking across now. A bunch of stalagmites go up, I'm sure. It's either stalagmites or stalactites, I always get the two confused. But keeping them away from the windows. In theory, they would be reinforced to stop them like pouncing through or anything like that. But there you go, there's viewing of one just there. Carry on round, small little green area, and come up this hill just here, where you've got our Calodontia, also known as the woolly rhino. You can see one just there, and the other three just here. I don't know why you're looking through the binoculars, Sunshine. If you needed binoculars to look in, well, there's something wrong with you, that's all I'm saying. But really, again, really happy with how this habitat turned out. Arguably, I feel it should be bigger, but that's what the game said they needed. In fact, it's actually, this habitat is too big for them. Make sense of that, if you will. More viewing into our Smilodons just here. Our little in-game prefab of Stonehenge just here. Some climbing, which I've yet to see our Smilodons use. Unfortunately, the Smilodon and another species in this park do have a rather nasty habit of escaping, which we'll come to in a second. But here you can see our woolly mammoth paddock, if you hadn't already heard them, because they are somewhat noisy. And as you'd have seen earlier, this is the other species of big cat we have in our park, which again is a perennial escapee. We have our Panthera atrox, which is also known as the cave lion. You can see a few of them down there. Really overgrown everything in here, which is, I think, is absolutely fantastic. Based somewhat off of Far Cry Primal, which I've not played. I've seen it, but in theory, potentially how this time period would have looked, and a perfect hunting ground for the Panthera, because, well, just look how that one there is blending in with all that grass and everything like that. And then nothing else really down here. Some indoor viewing for the Panthera, which is never used by our guests. Come round here, and we've got again another toilet block and there is also more viewing into our cave lion habitat and a more overgrown part, which, well, gives you an idea of again what early man would have had to have contended with in terms of overgrowth and stuff like that, with predators which are more than capable and more than willing to look at a early human and go lunch. So carry on around here, back past our woolly mammoth habitat, and nearly at the end of the park and subsequently the tour. Now carry on round here. Frames are dropping. I'm down to 8 frames a second, 6, 10, yeah, nearly there, guys, nearly there. There we go. We come to one of the 2 newest animals in the game at time of recording, the Megaloceros, Megaloceros even, also known as the Irish elk. Got quite a big herd again. Have the shelter built using the rustic pack. Really pleased with how this turned out. And just look at the size of them and the size of those antlers. Quite a good bit of venison there, but we don't talk about that. Moving on round, we come to our last big animal habitat, and we come to the one of the biggest mammals that we know of to have ever walked the planet, the Paraceratherium. This is one of the, again, multiple species of Paraceratherium in the park, and this is, now pardon me for if I mispronounce this, Transauralicum. Probably got that completely wrong. If I've got it right, I am amazed. But we move our carry on round. You can see one of them just here, and you can see what I mean about one of the largest mammals to ever walk the planet. Because these things are massive. Think a giraffe big? Well, think again. Because these is a big boy. Now I did about putting something like a like what you get with a giraffe, like a feeding station in, but ended up not going through it. Going through with that, and looking at it as it is, got a viewing platform again. This is taken off of one of the prefabs. I believe this was an in-game. It may have been a prefab off the workshop. I'm not sure if I can remember it. It's the same one we used for viewing into our Spinosaur habitat. I genuinely can't remember if it's off the workshop or an in-game one. I think it's in-game. If not, I do apologise. I really cannot remember. Carry on down here. There's the back of our woolly mammoth habitat, and we come to our last 3 animals of the tour. So here we have got the Elasmotherium. We have, I believe, 3 of them in here. I forgot to put the hay bale. It was in the bottom of that, and of the shelter, we and that they are in there. Another toilet block, so there's our viewing into the Elasmotherium. And implied walkway for staff to get through into between the 2 habitats. And on the other side we have the Cynotherium, which is a ancestor of the Elasmotherium. And also, as far as I am aware, which is a descendant of the Paraceratherium. And again, I've forgotten to put in the hay bales on the floor. So, we carry on round. You see the boundary of the park just there. Not too unhappy to see. We cut, as I say, to wrap up the other new animal in the park, we have got the cave bear, Ursus spelaeus. You can see just there. Again, these in theory would be electrified, keeping them away from the fence. Bears are intelligent animals. You get electrocuted once or twice, it ain't gonna be trying it again. Obviously, bears being omnivores, we've got some fruit, we've got some meat, we've got some insect. I believe there is a plant-based one dotted around somewhere. Another shelter in the back, which again I think I've forgotten to put the hay bales in. Yeah, again, happy with habitat. But that is the park. First park I've built in the game. 6 months or 101 hours of work. And yeah, all done. Not even finished the park in Planet Zoo, and I've been building that park for over 2 years now. But yeah, really pleased with how it's turned out. Obviously, a couple of little bits I am going to need to tweak, because this park is going to end up on the Steam Workshop. I will put a link either in the description or as a pinned comment once it is up. Obviously, I will tidy a couple of bits up before uploading it, keep it, you know, nice and as good as it can be. But yeah, we come down through here, through the archway, and as the sign says, we hope to see you again. Please like and subscribe, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.